Chapter 2 Editorial Difficulties. If for a speculative man, whose seed field, in the sublime words of the poet, is time, no conquest is important but that of new ideas, then might the arrival of Professor Teufelsdrock's book be marked with chalk in the editor's calendar. It is indeed an extensive volume of boundless, almost formless contents, a very sea of thought, neither calm nor clear, if you will, yet wherein the toughest pearl diver may dive to his utmost depth, and return not only with sea wreck, but with true orients. Directly on the first perusal, almost on the first deliberate inspection, it became apparent that here a quite new branch of philosophy, leading to as yet undescribed ulterior results, was disclosed. Farther, what seemed scarcely less interesting, a quite new human individuality, an almost unexampled personal character, that namely of Professor Teufelsdrock the Discloser. Of both which novelties, as far as might be possible, we resolved to master the significance. But as man is emphatically a proselytizing creature, no sooner was such mastery even fairly attempted, than the new question arose. How might this acquired good be imparted to others, perhaps in equal need thereof? How could the philosophy of clothes and the author of such philosophy be brought home, in any measure, to the business and bosom of our own English nation? For if new got gold is said to burn the pockets till it be cast forth into circulation, much more may new truth. Here, however, difficulties occurred. The first thought naturally was to publish article after article on this remarkable volume, in such widely circulating critical journals as the editor might stand connected with, or by money or love procure access to. But, on the other hand, was it not clear that such matter as must here be revealed and treated of might endanger the circulation of any journal extent? If indeed all party divisions in the state could have been abolished, Whig, Tory, and Radical, embracing in discrepant union, and all the journals of the nation could have been jumbled into one journal, the philosophy of clothes poured forth in incessant torrents therefrom, and the attempt had seemed possible. If the attempt seemed. But alas, what vehicle of that sort have we except Fraser's Magazine, a vehicle all strewed, figuratively speaking, with the maddest Waterloo crackers, exploding distractively and destructively wheresoever the mystified passenger stands or sits, nay, in any case, understood it to be, of late years, a vehicle full to overflowing and inexorably shut. Besides, to state the philosophy of clothes without the philosopher, the ideas of Teufelsdrock without something of his personality, was it not to be sure of both entire misapprehension? Now for biography, had it been otherwise admissible, there were no adequate documents, no hope of obtaining such, but rather, owing to circumstance, a special despair. Thus did the editor himself, for the while, shut out from all public utterance of these extraordinary doctrines, and constrained to revolve them, not without disquietude, in the dark depths of his own mind. So had it lasted for some months, and now the volume on clothes, read and read again, was in several points becoming lucid and lucent. The personality of its author more and more surprising, but, in spite of all that memory and conjecture could do, more and more enigmatic, whereby the old disquietude seemed fast settling into fixed discontent, when altogether unexpectedly arrives a letter from Herr Hofrath Oistrakh, our professor's chief friend and associate in Weisnichtwo, with whom we had not previously corresponded. The Hofrath, after much quite extraneous matter, began dilating largely on the agitation and attention which the philosophy of clothes was exciting in its own German Republic of Letters, on the deep significance and tendency of his friend's volume, then, at length, with great circumlocution, hinted at the practicability of conveying some knowledge of it and of him to England, and through England to the distant West. A work on Professor Teufelsdrock were undoubtedly welcome to the family, the National, or any of those patriotic libraries, at present the glory of British literature, might work revolutions in thought, and so forth. In conclusion, intimating not obscurely that should the present editor feel disposed to undertake the biography of Teufelsdrock, he, Hofrath Oistrakh, had it in his power to furnish the requisite documents. As in some chemical mixture that has stood long evaporating, but would not crystallize instantly when the wire or other fixed substance was introduced, crystallization commences, and rapidly proceeds till the whole is finished. So was it with the editor's mind and this offer of Oistrakh's. from rows of void solution and discontinuity, like untied itself with like indefinite arrangement, and soon either in actual vision and possession or in fixed reasonable hope, the image of the whole enterprise has shaped itself, so to speak, into a solid mass. Cautiously yet courageously, through the twopenny post, application to the famed redoubtable Oliver York was now made, and interviews with the singular man have taken place, with more of assurance on our side, with less of satire, at least of open satire, on his, than we anticipated. For the rest, with such issue as is now visible, as to those same patriotic libraries, the Hofrath's counsel could only be viewed with silent amazement. But with his offer of documents we joyfully and almost instantaneously closed. Thus, too, in the sure expectation of these, we already see our task begun, and this our Sartor Resartus, which is properly Life and Opinions of Herr Teufelsdrock, hourly advancing. Of our fitness for the enterprise, to which we have such title and vocation, it were perhaps uninteresting to say more. Let the British reader study and enjoy in simplicity of heart what is here presented him, and with whatever metaphysical acumen and talent for meditation he is possessed of. Let him strive to keep a free, open sense cleared from the mists of prejudice, above all from the paralysis of cant, and directed rather to the book itself than to the editor of the book. Who or what such editor may be must remain conjectural and even insignificant. It is a voice publishing tidings of the philosophy of clothes, undoubtedly a spirit addressing spirits. Whoso hath ears, let him hear. And this is an asterisk. With us, even he still communicates in some sort of mask or muffler, and we have reason to think under feigned name. It's from O.Y. On one other point, the editor thinks it needful to give warning, namely that he is animated with a true, though perhaps a feeble, attachment to the institutions of our ancestors, and minded to defend these, according to ability, at all hazards. Nay, it was partly with a view to such defense that he engaged in this undertaking, to stem, or, if that be impossible, profitably to divert the current of innovation, such a volume as Teufelsdrock's, if cunningly planted down, were no despicable pile or floodgate in the logical wear. For the rest, be it now wise apprehended that any personal connection of ours with Teufelsdrock, Heuschreck, or the philosophy of clothes can pervert our judgment or sway us to extenuate or exaggerate. Powerless, we venture to promise, are those private compliments themselves. Grateful they may well be, as generous allusions of friendship, as fair mementos of bygone unions, of those nights and suppers of the gods, when, lapped in the symphonies and harmonies of philosophic eloquence, though with baser accompaniments, the present editor revelled in that feast of reason, never since vouchsafed him in so full measure. But what then? Amicus Plato, magis amica veritas. Teufelsdrock is our friend, truth our divinity. In our historical and critical capacity, we hope we are strangers to all the world, have feud or favor with no one, save indeed the devil, with whom, as with the prince of lies and darkness, we do at all times wage internecine war. The assurance, at an epoch where puffery and quackery have reached a height unexampled in the annals of mankind, and even English editors, like Chinese shopkeepers, must write on the door and tells, "No cheating here," we thought it good to premise. It's chapter 2.